Welcome back to the Dolphin Radio Show, now broadcasting in video. Today I've got a special guest, Chrisiousity. Chrisiousity is a well-known feminist personality here on YouTube, and you can find a link for her channel in the description below. On the internet and in general. Kill that sound real quick. Thank you. Anyway, generally, sociopolitically, there's probably nothing that she and I are ever going to agree on. But tonight, we're leaving politics and society at the door and talking about something that has been bringing people together all over the world for thousands of years. Food and cooking. So, Chrisiousity, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. So what'd you have for dinner tonight?
Tonight, just pasta and sauce, just because, I had to get on here. Yesterday, I had salmon with, there was like lemon and Kalamata olives and spinach and a sauce. So, it really depends on, because I have 3 kids. It depends on what's going on, if somebody's got a game to go to, or if we have time to sit down. But I do try to do a sit-down dinner every day with everybody. So that's a big important thing to me.
Yeah, I've always found that to be pretty important. It's kind of like the glue that holds a family together.
Yeah, otherwise you're just roommates, at a certain point.
I actually started a New Year's resolution this year, and I'm dragging my family kicking and screaming into getting up at 5 a.m. so I can cook them a big breakfast, because I'm huge on breakfast. I love breakfast. I could cook breakfast all day. So we do pancakes, eggs, sausages, and everybody looks at me with hateful eyes because they got up at 5 a.m.
No, I love breakfast. A big breakfast is a good thing. Breakfast is the one thing that my husband will do, because for some reason he just makes really good pancakes. Like, I don't know what it is, because generally speaking, and God bless him, but he's not a great chef. But pancakes, he just makes perfect pancakes every time. So
have you ever gotten one of those little squeeze tube and you liquidate the pancake mix just a little bit, and then you squeeze it out in a pretty design and let it cook for a minute, and then squeeze the rest out? Whenever you go to flip it, it's like, have you seen these videos on the internet?
Yeah, I've done like artsy things with food before like that.
I tried so hard. My pancakes were just they were terrible. That was it.
Pancakes are very specific. They're sort of, you have to get them just the right thickness all around. You have to heat them to just the right amount, not too hot, not too cold, because you don't want, the worst thing that you want is when it's like kind of hot and burned a little bit on the outside, but on the inside it's still a little raw. That's disgusting. So it's very like that. It's one of those things, I think, certain things that you cook are like that, where you have to kind of figure out the balance. It takes a while, I think, to do that. We were talking before about how I don't usually use recipes per se. And a lot of it is because I think that once you're sort of used to cooking, and I tell people it'll probably take about 6 months to sort of just get where you're at, to get to a place where you're good with cooking. Like, you can just do it. And once you're at that point, it's all by sort of feel and smell, and you can kind of tell when something is, oh, okay, now's the time. This is a good time to flip this. This is, this is just good enough. So that's what I say anyway.
It's that cooking by necessity thing. That's what you have to do when you have to feed people, and my cooking is based almost entirely on what's in my fridge right now.
Yeah.
And so let me see. We'll have catfish tenders with green beans and hominy. Yes, that 32-year-old can of hominy. That one's going.
Oh my goodness! So are you down south?
I am down south. And I grew up in Texas, so I actually grew up on steak, which was seasoned with steak. They put steak on top of it, and then they have steak
Mm.
sauce. And not that A1 crap. I mean, like they grind up steak into sauce and pour it over your steak. So
Well, that's good. You don't want to like mess with the steak with
yeah.
other things.
Well, you throw a little black pepper in just for flavor.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
between that and the Tex-Mex, I love spicy foods. My wife won't touch it, but I love spicy foods, and I think that comes from being a Texan. But no, I'm not in Texas anymore. I am in the South still, so we do eat hominy and grits.
Mm. Well, up here we eat grits and call them polenta. It's the same thing, but it really is. And I actually have. Oh, there's suddenly an echo. Are you hearing that, or is it just me?
No, I think that might be me, but I don't have any speakers out, so I don't see where it'd be echoing.
Okay. So yeah, I've just been sort of getting into polenta just recently, because there's a lot. You can either do a savory thing and you can do a sweet thing, and it's very flexible. And I like that in a medium. Like I like to make frittatas with just eggs, and you can put anything you want in them.
So
Like
I'm sorry. So I take it you would like couscous.
sure.
Okay, excellent. That is one of my favorite mediums for it. You could throw just about anything in couscous, make it work.
Yeah, I think that's for a base to a good recipe. If you were going to build a recipe, find something that's a base. Find something that's going to be flexible and you can play with it in any way. That's why so many of these, cultures across the world have rice, or they'll have pasta, or they'll have, something like that. Something that,
Corn.
yep,
Corn's a big one.
yep. Something you can just do whatever with. You can make it sweet, you can make it salty, you can make it savory, you can make it spicy, and it's going to work no matter what. And then you just use the other things to sort of to play it up.
Yeah.
So
It's just kind of like putting down a foundation and then structuring around it.
yes,
It's the engineer in me building something. So.
well, that's basically what you do. I mean, and a lot of cooking is, I'm always telling people that they should teach their kids to cook. I didn't learn to cook when I was a kid, but it's math, it's chemistry, it's science. There's a lot that goes into cooking, and it's fun for the kids because they're making something that they can eat, and they like that.
As long as they can eat it, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if my kids could eat anything that anybody could eat, really, or cook anything anyone could eat or should.
Well, you do what you can. We made
Yeah.
gingerbread cookies this year, and I do not recommend gingerbread houses because those things are not sturdy. They're not stable.
Oh, come on. We did gingerbread houses. We had four of them. They were pretty stable. I
Yeah.
mean, I was working on them, so that was kind of a thing. I actually built them, and I think what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to build them and then set them aside for like 3 hours and let them
Mm.
steal, and then you decorate them. But
That doesn't work with kids. They're like, "What do you mean?"
see, I did. That's the trick is I didn't involve the kids in the first part of it. I was just opened up the box and went,
Oh.
I've got to do
Well,
this.
yeah, I could make a gingerbread house. but but when the kids get in on it and they help, I go with gingerbread cookies. That's what I say. Because they just lay there and people just decorate them and put stuff on them. So I think that's the way to go. And it
That
smells awesome.
Yeah, oh god, it smells great. But I didn't even think about cookies this year. I should have done that.
Mm.
We did the terrible buy it from the store and you bring it out of the package. It's like, oh, that smells good, but it's not like we bake our own bread, and that really fills the
Mm.
house up with a beautiful, wonderful aroma. And
Right.
then I can just imagine cooking gingerbread would just
Mm.
you just want to like freeze your house in that moment. Just be like, hey, yeah, from now on, it needs to smell like this at all times.
I know it's pretty awesome. I love that. I don't usually cook my own bread. Sometimes I do. I have a Portuguese mother-in-law, and they do wonderful breads. So every time I go anywhere near them, I've got a loaf of bread that's fresh baked that's being given to me. So it's like, I don't, it's okay. All right, great. Yeah, thank you. And they'll make all different kinds. They make a flawed, is what it's called. And it's sort of, there's ham and sausage that's sort of baked into the bread. And it's very nice. It's nice. I feel bad. I used to be a vegetarian, but then, you get married, you have 3 boys, you have Portuguese in-laws, and it just goes out the window.
Yeah, and you got to eat meat. Otherwise, where are all those steaks in Texas going to go?
I think that your family's going to eat them.
Oh, no, I'm a big fan of fish, though. When you were a vegetarian, did you eat fish?
Only at the very end. I was a vegetarian, and I tried to convince my family several times that we should be vegans, and it never takes. It's a complete no-go here. So.
Yeah. Well, I can feel them. I actually have a dietary objection to pork. I can't eat it. My body doesn't like it. And so I had to give up bacon and what I consider to be the world's greatest meat. It's called chorizo. I don't know if you've ever had it.
Oh, yeah, that's big Portuguese.
Absolutely the greatest meat on the face of the planet.
Mm.
But I have to give them both up because my body just will not digest pork anymore. So I can feel their pain hearing their mom say, "Okay, guys, no more meat altogether." Whoa, that's more than just pork. That hurts.
Well, I managed to cut it back. I managed to sort of make things that where you don't need a lot of meat, where just a little bit is good. So that I think,
smaller portions are healthier. You don't want to Texas it up with steak on steak.
No. I remember going down south, I think the first time, and I was very excited about the idea of Southern food because I love food. So anywhere I go, one of the things that's going to be exciting to me is to eat food. That's pathetic, but it's true. But
no, it brings us all together. It's a great
food.
subject.
Oh. But I got down there and I was a little disappointed because it was just like so much. Like just if you ask for one thing, you get, you're not going to get one waffle.
Yeah, you get a plate.
Yeah, you're going to get a thing and it's going to be piled and you're going to stare at it and go, oh my God. That's insane, But I got used to it after a bit. At least they're not like, Italians and Portuguese. I'm hearing an echo. I'm sorry, and I shouldn't be because I'm on my headphones. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I got the headphones on too. Give me a second. Let me mute it, and I'll see if I can do something.
Okay. So, hi, people. I don't know if I'm entertaining you. Hello. So, what was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about big portions. Yeah, like I was talking about how I have a Portuguese family, or I have a lot of Italian friends. You can't not eat what they serve you if you're going to a place like that because, they'll give you 3 things. And if you don't eat every one of them, they're like, oh, you don't like it. You don't like it? It's bad, isn't it? It's just, I'm sorry. Then you're like, no, I love it. You're going to eat it. But at least down south, they were like, all right. This Yankee.
It's all right. John in the back will take it.
Yeah. Give it to him. He'll eat anything. Yeah.
I just realized, and thank you for pointing this out to me, that my headphones play incredibly loud outside of my head and my headphones.
Huh. That's weird.
Yeah, it's like there's no insulation whatsoever, and that must have been the echo you were hearing.
Oh, well, there it goes. I don't hear it now, so that's good.
Excellent. Yeah, I come from a German-Irish family, which there wasn't a lot of good food, but there was a lot of food.
Mm-hmm.
And no, don't get me wrong, the German side, that food was great, but we actually ate more of the Irish side. So,
yeah,
a lot of food. I do like corned beef though. and that's a great Irish dish.
Yes. Oh, I love a Reuben. A good Reuben. It's one of the
It's
great foods in the world.
it's really got to have the right mustard, or it's not going to be right.
Well, yes, it's a very specific, and it has
Yeah.
to have the right amount of sauerkraut and the right amount of corned beef.
Yeah, I think I had like one Reuben, and like my first Reuben was the greatest Reuben ever made, and since then nobody even knows what a Reuben is. So it's kind of, I hate to use the phrase "chasing the dragon," but
Mm,
and it's roulette because you never know if it's going to be this is going to be the one. This is going to be the sandwich that brings it back. No.
no, it's hard. It's very hard.
Yep.
What did I
Uh,
have once? I had borscht once, and it was fantastic. And it's like I can't believe this is a beet soup. Ever since there, it's like ugh, I can believe it's a beet soup. So you gotta have it done just right. Some foods. What are you gonna do?
hmm.
So how long have you been cooking?
Um. Well, let me see. Since I was about 17, I've been regularly cooking. I've been doing breakfast food since I was a kid. Like you said, you should teach your kids to cook. My mom taught me to cook so that she could go do other stuff.
Yeah.
So I was always in charge of breakfast, and I think that's why I like cooking breakfast so much. It's just because I've been doing it the longest. It's second nature to me,
Mm.
and I only really started cooking for myself, other than ramen noodles, right around my mid 20s when my first son came along, and it was like, okay, you got to have some sort of health conscious
Yeah.
thing going on here.
Some little maybe something greenish
Yeah, I,
at
I did.
least.
I'm the 9 out of 10 cooker. So like 9 out of 10 meals, I can go and pull out of the fridge, pull out of the pantry a bunch of stuff, and throw it all together, and it works, and it works really good. And people are like, "Hey, how'd you make this?" I have no clue.
Right.
And then that 10th time, I do the same thing, but it's more memorable,
Well, there's that.
but it's less good. It's less good. So
Yeah,
there.
my husband once made a chocolate milk omelet. That was
Oh my god.
memorable.
Oh my god.
The theory was, he likes omelets, he likes chocolate milk. What could go wrong? It's like,
Yes,
oh.
this couldn't possibly be a bad idea.
Oh. But that's why, he's not in the kitchen most of the time, unless it's pancakes.
Well, you can mix sweet and savory, and you can mix sweet and spicy. Like I like one of my favorite things is to mix honey and chili powder and do that as a salmon rub.
Well, that's very nice. Yeah. A little bit of I just like just that kick. It really just makes food more interesting,
Yeah.
you know. I don't like so much spice that it feels like I lost a dare that I'm eating this. Like, it's not like I don't have this sort of macho thing. Like, I can eat this even though my, you know, eyes are on fire now. But
It's like that's so spicy you're gonna taste it twice.
yeah, no, no thanks.
No,
I don't really want to. That's not appealing.
that's a two-burner pepper.
So let's see. I actually first learned cooking for a job I did when I first was working with people who were cognitively disabled. And I was supposed to be teaching them activities of daily living, which, that's a broad term. So I was like, great, fine. So I show up to work and there's a huge kitchen, right? And I have no idea what I'm doing. So I remember going home and telling my brother, like, they want me to teach people to cook. And he's like, what are you going to show them how to do? How to dial a phone? Like, shut up. So I learned as they learned. We all learned together. And I
Hey,
think it worked.
teaching is a very effective way of learning. I'll give you
Uh,
that.
Usually you don't start.
Yeah, usually you need a base of knowledge and you move forward from there. But hey, if you can catch the ball and run with it, then by all means, go.
Well, luckily
So,
there were actually some of the people who I was supposed to be teaching knew more than I did, and they told me.
Oh, so you had those
So,
helpful students like pulling you out.
yes,
Yeah, and now the butter, use the butter.
right now, just not that much, not that. Well, yeah, I had some interesting failures, but
That what they are always the most memorable. I usually say that those are the best times to learn. Like
mm,
we don't eat sauce that's gray anymore, for example.
that's a good
And
thing.
that's yeah. And the idea, the original, I have no idea what I put in it originally, but the gray sauce, that
Mm,
that kind of made us think about color as an important thing to look at.
mm.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes with meat, gray just means oxidized, and it's not necessarily a terrible thing.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about meat. I was talking about sauce.
Yeah, sauce is, so it's sort of, I can see why you would look at it and be like, well, maybe that's what it's supposed to look like. Yeah.
We my boys and I, we made a sandwich for my wife about a year and a half ago where we took the mayonnaise and we mixed blue food dye into it just to mess
Oh,
with her
God.
and gave her the sandwich and she just was looking at it like, what do I do? She took pictures and she was like, it tastes really great, but I can't believe I'm eating this.
Mm. Well, that's good. She's brave.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, no, actually, she wouldn't take a bite until I told her exactly what was in it. Well, what's
She's
turning it blue?
smart.
It's called
That's
blue
even
food
better.
coloring, honey. They thought you would like it. We're gonna go have some green eggs and ham next. Come on.
Mm. See, I once did like a whole Halloween spread full of like they're supposed to look like gross things, like eyeballs and fingers and stuff. And the thing is, even when you know, it's just not appetizing and you just don't want to eat it. So even though people are like impressed with the artistic part, they're like, pass. So I won't do that again. Now I know.
Sometimes when they get really artistic with the foods, and you go out to like a really nice restaurant, and you come to eat, somebody sits down at your table, this thing, and it's got like for example tomatoes, where they'll
Mm.
carve it into a rose, and you're just looking at it, and you're like, I'm really hungry. Why would you do that? I don't want to eat that. Like I want a tomato, but that's too pretty.
Yeah, I'll feel bad.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. All food should look like, I don't know, like red-headed stepchildren of. I have no problem eating that.
That's right. You're next, you little.
Uh,
Mm. But we eat with our eyes and with our nose and with everything. I like that part of it. I think it's always a part of food is that you want to just nurture people and make them happy. And that's such a nice, like, unlike other things, like other arts where you might want to make somebody kind of upset or sad. Nobody goes down to cooking and says, I want to get across my despair through this pasta. Nobody says that. So it's just sort of a good thing always,
this
unless you
man
screw
will
it
know the suffering I have known.
up. Once you partake of this, you will know that life is meaningless.
I
It's
I honestly feel sometimes like people who make curry uh, do have that attitude, and that they hate
ah,
me.
I love curry. Really?
Yeah, and I can't do it. I can't do it, and I'm not a big fan of saffron.
Hmm.
Just in general. But that's just me. I'm weird. My favorite foods are spinach and turkey.
Those are good. I like them both.
But I've never heard anybody describe them as their favorites, and they're literally my favorites. You give me a turkey leg, I'm happy. I'm like push me off to the side. I'm good for like an hour.
Nice. Well, that's good.
I wish my
They're
kids
both
were like
healthy.
that. Yeah, I'd buy them turkey legs all day. Like here, shut
Mm.
up. There's another hour.
So my kids like kid foods.
Chicken nuggets, macaroni and
Right.
cheese.
Right.
Grilled-
Peanut butter and jelly. It's
But
like, oh,
you were talking about the warming, wholesome feeling that foods can give you. So, what are your favorite comfort foods?
Mashed potatoes is a big one for me. I like a good mashed potato. Potatoes in general, I think, are very comforting to me. I'll have them in like a shepherd's pie or whatever. There's a potato element there. That's great. I like anything pie. If it can be
Oh,
accurately described as a pie, I'm there for it right
for
now.
for my southern listeners, a shepherd's pie is kind of like a casserole with a lot of cheese and corn on top and mashed potatoes.
Mm.
I think.
Yeah,
Think
well,
we don't eat that a whole lot here in the South. And when I lived in Pennsylvania, they had shepherd's pie, and I was like, what is this? What are you feeding me? This isn't pie. But
it's very Irish. Now, a true shepherd's pie should be lamb, right? Because that's the shepherd part.
okay,
And it should be sort of a ground lamb and gravy, and then it will usually have corn or peas, and then be topped with a mashed potato and sort of cheese on top. And of course, I think it's called a peasant's pie or something else like that if you use ground beef, which is what I would usually use, and call
yeah,
it whatever.
yeah. I don't buy a lot of lamb.
Yeah.
I mean, I would if I was in New Zealand, but I'm not in New Zealand, so.
Yeah, I had lamb the other day, and it was my brother-in-law. He cooked it. It was fantastic.
Oh, God, it is one of my favorite meats, but where I am, I don't know what you guys pay for a rack of lamb where you are, but it's about $24 for a rack of lamb uncooked.
Yeah, it's not a cheap, easy get. Like most most places will have it, but they'll have a little of it.
Yeah, and it's not a big rack. It's a very small rack.
Hang on one second.
Fair enough. By the way, if you are an internet celebrity or a budding internet celebrity and you're in the internet area and would like to be on the Dolphin Radio Show to talk about something outside your wheelhouse, be sure to contact me on Twitter, and there are alternate links in the description below as well. I'm also available on VidMe and Dailymotion. Yes, and Minds. I'm promoting Minds, very much so. Anyway, we've been talking with Chrisiousity about food. She's back.
Hey, how's it going?
Not
Oh,
bad. Terrible at the unscripted stuff.
oh, it's all right. Yeah, my son came up to me and wanted to know if I knew where his Mickey Mouse was. And now I'm going to have to chase him out of here again.
Well, we're talking about cooking, that's
Yeah, they
like, sweetie, I had your Mickey Mouse, but we got in this discussion and we were just, drilling stuff. I'm so sorry. So sorry. That by the way is a side joke. I torment my kids regularly. Jump out from behind corners and go boo. All that, like, since my kids are afraid of nothing. They're just impervious to shock.
My dad was like that. I remember it. He convinced us not to go down in the cellar, which was dangerous for us, by telling us about the monsters that were there. So, what the hell? It did work. So,
At some point, somebody's got to test it, and he's got to be down there to scare the living crap out of them.
Yeah, see, we did eventually. And then at a certain point, we got old enough that we had mascot monsters down in the bay, that we would tell other people, right? Oh yeah, his name is Charlie. He's terrible. He'll eat. He's our friend, though.
It's all right. He won't eat you. You wait. You're not one of us. Never mind. He'll eat you.
Yeah. Best not to even go there. He's got fangs. Terrible, horrible, dripping red, bloody claws. So
Yeah.
We only go down there if we have a steak to throw at him.
We only do it from the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
No, we didn't have a basement when I was growing up. We only had the attic, and I lived in the floodplain, so you don't have basements.
Right. Yep, not a thing in Texas, really.
All the time I lived in Houston, never once did my house flood.
good.
Yeah. Well, we lived on the northwest side. It's pretty high elevation. Really,
Yeah.
really cheap housing. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But we had some. Oh my God, my neighbors could cook like nobody's business. They had the best food. I practically lived across the street at my friend's mom's house. She would cook
Mm.
fried chicken for us, and then I would come home and I'd tell my mom about it because I knew that if I came home and bragged about how great Shannon's mom's cooked chicken was, I was getting fried chicken that night too.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I was devious. I was terrible like that.
Well, I mean, fried chicken is good, but
Yeah.
it is not healthy.
You put the neighborhood moms at war with each other over which ones the kids like the most. But
Mm.
I think I don't know how Shannon turned out, but I've never gained a pound since I was like 15. And
All right, well,
so
I hate you. You're a terrible
no,
person.
honestly, there's problems on this end. Like I have to eat a meal before bed, or I can guarantee you I'll lose a pound overnight. I have to, and
Mm.
sometimes you just don't want to eat anymore. You're full, or you're not full, but you just got no appetite. You're tired from chewing all the time. Uh,
Well, the
and,
problems that you have.
and then the things that will actually fatten you up, you just don't like them. Yeah, go figure.
That is not a problem I have. This is not a difficulty that I struggle with. I can't empathize with that at all. Oh, and I'm not, I'm overweight probably, but I'm not fat. But it's an effort, you know. It's a will.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a will thing. Like, I have medical conditions that occur because of my, my medical or my size. For example, I'm at incredibly high risk for randomly collapsing lungs, which
Mm,
has happened to me twice, and is actually how I found out about this. But when you're small like I am, and your body has such a high metabolism, and you don't have really any body fat, and you haven't eaten long enough, your body starts eating the muscle tissue,
right.
and
Yeah.
wherever the muscle tissue is thinnest, like in between your ribs, it can cause your chest cavity to decompress. And it's not a great thing.
Yeah, we're very unhealthy in the United States because many of us are overweight or obese or whatever, but on the other end, what is given to us as sort of an ideal is actually not healthy either at
Well,
all, you know.
I think that I think that if I had probably about 30 pounds on, I mean, my wife is a healthy size. My wife is perfectly healthy size, and at least especially if she's listening to this, that's what I think.
Oh God.
Um, no, I'm kidding. I absolutely love my wife. I married my best friend's little sister, so I have the perfect wife.
Lovely.
Yeah. Um, but I don't know. I think that if maybe we should start making our food more crappy. You think that would help?
Our food is pretty crappy. A lot of the food that we eat is pretty crappy, and I think that's why we eat so much of it.
You're just gonna shoot down my dreams, aren't you? Just gonna shoot them
I
down,
am.
put them up there.
If your dream is crappy food, I will shoot that down.
Okay, you know what? I'll rescind that one. That was a bad dream.
um, yeah, I think like a really good, flavorful food that makes you want to sit down and pay attention to what's in your mouth is harder to get fat off of than just like chips that you just
That's a
shovel.
really cool theory. I like that.
Yeah,
So with more complex flavors, we could potentially solve all kinds of problems.
I think so.
Yeah, where's Willy Wonka when we need him?
I, I don't know. He's in a chocolate factory
Yeah.
somewhere scaring children.
By the way, on a side note, were your kids frightened by that movie? The newer one?
I haven't showed it to them yet because I've had bad experiences with other kids. So,
Oh, yeah, yours are much younger than mine, though, I think.
mm,
So, yeah, mine hate that movie. Absolutely. Like, they love Nightmare Before Christmas. They watch that all day long. that Willy
Yeah.
Wonka, just something scares the living crap out of him.
He's spooky.
He is. I think it's his creepiness. It's not spooky. He's like creepy. You don't know if he's gonna like go for your throat at any moment.
Yeah, he's got those teeth and they just come at you, and he's got those weird eyes. Ugh. Ugh. I showed my niece The Grinch That Stole Christmas when she was a kid. It terrified her. Terrified her so bad. She had like nightmares for weeks. I felt so awful. I was like, it's a Christmas classic. I didn't mean it. You know, my sister's on the phone with me yelling at me. Like, she can't sleep again. This is your doing, you know. Like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just every now and then call her up and just quote a line from the just terrorize her whole youth.
You're a mean
That'd be
one.
good for her. It builds character.
Mm.
My staple food with cooking is mushrooms.
Hmm.
We put that on everything.
Mushrooms
And
are good.
yeah, we like to burn them. We like to burn them really good.
Hmm.
That is caramelized in butter, by the way. You can never overcook a mushroom until it's like brittle. At that point, you've overcooked it. But it takes a while to get there.
It really does. Because mushrooms, how they cook is they sort of suck everything up, then they release it, and then they're done. Do you notice that? It's a kind of an odd sort of thing that they do. It's like
Yeah, if
it goes through stages.
anything else you put in the pan is going to create more fluids everywhere.
Mm.
No, not mushrooms. Mushrooms will suck up all that butter.
If they just
Okay,
hold it.
important question: butter or margarine?
I wish it was margarine. There's some margarines out there that I like, but if it was the last meal of my life, it was going to be butter. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's actually I've heard arguments on both sides, and I don't know who to trust, but I like to believe the guys that say butter is actually healthier for you because margarine's got so many different chemicals you shouldn't ingest.
Well, I don't eat the chemical margarine. Like, I'll eat the Earth's Best, hippie crunchy stuff that doesn't have that sort of preservative. I do try to stay away from chemicals, from preservatives, from hormones, from God knows what that they're putting in.
Yeah, you can't really trust what they're spraying with the fields
Mm.
with anymore either. It's in the vegetables and the fruits.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, you just had to wipe the layer of wax off the apple. Now you got to like wash it for 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's not good. I try to go to farmers markets if I can get to them. Then you have to have cash, and you're dealing with the strange, sweaty people with the beets looking at you funny. I don't know, but organic farmers they're an interesting bunch. But whatever, at least they have good food. And then you're like, oh, but it's so much more expensive this way. But what are you
What
gonna do?
at the farmers market? See,
Some of them.
I don't have a lot of farmers market within a reasonable driving distance. I live near a city, so
Mm.
we just buy everything at the grocery store, which I feel terrible about. But no, what are you gonna do? I have a garden, but it's a very small garden, and it's only producing for maybe 20 days out of the year.
Right. I do gardening too, but I'm not. I haven't done like the full on vegetable gardening yet. I do flowers, I do herbs, but not really. I haven't really made that commitment yet. And I figure we're planning on moving. Shoot. Oops. We're planning on moving pretty soon. When we move, we'll probably get that going. It's an investment of time and just pure sweat.
Yeah, it's very labor intensive. A lot of people will steer you in the direction of tomatoes, but if you're fresh to gardening, I would actually stay away from those. Those are pretty labor intensive.
Mm.
You're constantly having to tie them up and stack them up and stuff. Stick with peppers. Peppers are quick and easy. Once you get your handle on peppers, you can grow anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like I said, I've done a lot of gardening, so I kind of know what it's. I know how to go about it. I wouldn't say I have one of those natural green thumbs, but I don't like kill everything I plant either. So I'm sort of in between there. So
I'm about half and half. I'll kill about half the plants.
I figured the ones that I kill, they just didn't mean, it's just meant to be. That's what I say.
Yeah,
Like
they had
you
a
weren't
good
tough enough.
long they had a long productive week. I actually took I went out and got some of those raspberries that you buy them in the box at Sam's Club or whatever, and I took them and I planted them, and the year that I planted them, it grew out to like a 6 foot vine and had like 3 berries on the end of it, and I was like, well, that was a waste of money. Because at the end of the year, it shriveled up into a brown stump and died and broke off.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, that was a waste of $20. I got 3 raspberries out of it. Well, I'm 5 years later, and at this point, I've built an entire area around where the raspberry patch is, because if you ever plant raspberries in the South, they're gonna look dead at the end of the year. But oh my God, the next I think we pulled 6 pounds of raspberries
Ooh,
per week for like 3 weeks this year, and we made all of that into jelly.
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I know. Usually they don't, things take a year or two before they do anything. So, I don't know. Even like perennials are like that.
Yeah, we have tulips that keep coming up. I think that the people who lived here before planted tulips because there's no killing them. You just can't get rid of them.
Well, you got to find the bulbs. If you get the bulbs out of there, you'll kill them. But because
I've
that's
been
they're,
I've
they're they're the tubers.
Yeah, and they drop another little tube or something every time they come back up. I don't know what they're doing down there, but
Yeah.
no, I often joke that I could dig up the whole front yard and replace it with all new dirt, and those stupid tulips would come back every time.
Well, they
But
are. Come on, tulips are cute.
they are. I pick them for my wife. They're her favorites. So
Yeah.
I have no problem chopping them down and then presenting the dead corpse of the tulip who haunted me to my wife.
Mm.
It sounds so terrible, when you put it that way.
Yeah, it does. These tulips are my nemesis. I will destroy you.
I think they're called daisies. The little flower. It looks like it's got a collar. It's got like a
Mhm.
little horn thing, and it's got like a collar. We have those pop up too, and those are really pretty. I don't even touch those. I'm just like, no, leave them alone. They're good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you get the right plant in the right place, it's just going to live there in happiness forever. It's like, yes, but if you don't put it in just the right place, just the right sun, yeah, whatever.
Just the right drainage, just the right water.
Yeah. Well, did you take the pH of your dirt? Like, oh, no.
I bought one of those soil sample things.
Ah.
And it's so frustrating because it's like, okay, so my soil is super acidic and everything that touches it dies. What do I do? Oh, you add Epsom salts. Okay, add the Epsom salts. All right, now it's super basic and everything that touches it dies. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's why I'm a big fan of a raised bed, you know, because then you just put in whatever dirt you want.
Now, do you construct like a frame around on the ground, or do you actually raise it off the ground?
Yeah, it's right. It's off the ground. We did a rock, sort of like not a rock wall, but just a bunch of rocks, enough to hold dirt in place, and just built it all up. Well, first you got to kill everything that was there before, so
No,
you
of
kill all the
course.
dirt. So I just put down like stacks of newspaper and stuff, so that everything was just deprived of light and goodness, and everything was dead. And then you put on the dirt and you do all the things that you do, and you mix it up with all the right things, and then you're good. exactly the thing you want.
I've had to do a lot of construction around to get my garden going because we live in such a hilly area and
Mm.
our yard is terrible. But I think we did something similar to that, but I've never thought of it as a raised garden. But yeah, that might help with a few problems. I'm actually going to try that out come spring.
Yep.
I'm gonna give that a shot.
You can Google raised bed anywhere, and they'll tell you all kinds of things to do. So, because we live in a very rocky area, it's like we could dig rocks out of our yards forever and not get anywhere. But
Oh man, they've got pre-made, prefabricated little frames and everything.
hmm,
That's awesome.
there you go.
Ah, yeah, I'm gonna have to do that next year. Well, thank you for that, Chrissy.
Anytime.
All right, excellent. So on the back to food, do you eat steak these days?
Yeah, sometimes, every now
Sometimes.
and then. I like, if I'm gonna eat a steak, I'm gonna eat it rare. I mean, it's because that's just how I like it. Most people I know like it kind of pretty well done, but I just like it just scorched on the outside and just
So, so for the anti-feminists listening to this, yeah, you were wrong. That that we all do have something in common. Rare meats. Awesome, awesome. That is really cool.
it's just yeah.
That's like you just describe like I'm drooling. Stop for a minute. Suck it back, and then all right, let's go.
There you go. Well, if you ever
Awesome.
come up north,
I've no, I've been up there, and I was up there for snow in the Poconos, and never again. I'm sorry. No, no. I was born and raised in the hottest city in the continental United States, including Miami, and
mm,
I'm not made for anything below 72 degrees. I'm just not.
oh yeah, it
I have
is
like
hard.
3 fat cells, and they're fighting to get under the little piece of skin or muscle that's in there.
Well, yeah, if you have no body fat, that probably is not going to work
Yeah,
out.
I don't do cold at all. I
Yeah,
not at all. In
you have
fact, you
no
could turn the
insulation.
temperature up another 10 degrees and I'd still be comfortable. And here I am in the south and like I think it's 64 today. And I was wearing 2 jackets.
Mm. Well,
You know, like the light coat with the big heavy coat over it.
well, I like the snow. Up to a point.
I
We've
like
had some.
looking at it.
It is pretty. And it's fun, and there's stuff you could do with it. You could go if you're athletic.
You could throw the kids out in it
Yeah, they
and
love
watch them
it.
through the window right above the radiator.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in PA, I learned the wonder of a radiator. I've never seen those before, but they're awesome.
Mm. See, I don't. I guess because I grew up around them, I don't love them that much. I used
I
to like, they'd have the vents that would come up from the floor, and I would put my pajamas on over them on a really cold morning so that the pajama would sort of balloon up, and I would just be in a ball of warmth.
oh god, that's awesome.
That was pretty awesome.
Mhm.
But then, your parents would come and just, you're depriving the rest of the house.
But like, go find your own vents. There's another one in that room.
It's like, heck with you.
Mad because I'm on it.
Every man for himself.
Yeah.
And girl. But no, let's see. Now I don't think I could really do hot, hot, hot. I don't know. Maybe. But every time I've been down south, I always go, this is nice. I want to go back. Like you just
Well,
miss.
well, then in that case, that's what we in the South would call a Yankee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have another term for one that won't go back, and we call those damn Yankees.
Ah, yeah.
So
I know.
if you come to the South and you stay, you get an extra expletive added to
Mm,
your title.
I know. Southerners do not necessarily love the Northerners who hang around. I know that. I've had people go down and then come back and say, we liked it down there, but people hated us.
Well, I don't think it's so much that I think, and and having like I grew up in Houston. I live in the South now, and I lived in Pennsylvania for 2 years. And when I lived in Pennsylvania, I remember telling my dad, I said, when we were growing up, we'd always hear Southern hospitality, Texas warmness and kindness and all that,
Mm,
because they are really warm, caring. They really do take care of. If you're out on the street and it's the middle of the night and it's snowing, and you're in, lost along a farm road, you can knock on any farm door and they will take care of you here in the South. That's just the way people are down here.
hmm
But um, I never really understood the concepts behind the phrase Southern hospitality until I moved up north and experienced the phrase Northern rudeness. Because, and I like being from the South, my impression is that they don't realize that we Southerners find a lot of those behaviors really rude. Like, if you're shaking my hand, don't spit. It's really not that hard. Don't look off to the side and spit.
Well, I wouldn't do that. No, I know what I do know what you mean because I've done enough traveling to know. Like I had somebody who went camping and they were like, this person came up to us. We didn't know them and they were talking to us and really friendly and it was really creeping me out. And I'm like, well, where are they from? Because that
Louisiana. They're like, yep, yep, that's
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's perfectly normal behavior. They're fine. They're not crazy people who are going to stab you to death. But that's kind of um I have people who come from other places like other countries and they come around and they'll say, "Yeah, I mean, if you go up and ask somebody for help up north, they'll help you and then leave." Because they don't want to know you, but they will they will do the practical thing. Whereas on the other hand, if you go down south, it's a slow process. And how's your mama? And how's your babies? And then 20 minutes later, you get to it. But by then, you're all best friends. It's kind of,
Yeah, in the South, we like to talk to you for a minute. You come out and be like, hey, can I borrow $10? Well, before you do that, why don't you just sit down here and have some of this chicken? And tell me how your day's been.
exactly.
How's your job going? Yeah, yeah, we do that. We could,
Yeah. Up north, it's like, you know,
like, here's
uh,
your free, here's your chicken, go.
yeah, you want $10? Here's $10. I expect it back next week. See you later. That's it. And like anything else is just creepy. It's like weird to us because we don't they don't call us massholes for nothing. We're not like we don't have that sort of warmth. And like our sports teams, oh, we're awful. We have the worst fans in all of sportsdom.
God,
I
you
don't
guys
care what
are
anybody.
vicious.
We are, and we will turn on our own teams so fast. They could be the winningest teams in the world, and then have a bad week, and all you'll hear on sports radio is like, "Those fuckers, we gotta trade them all."
Yeah, bunch of
Because
bums. Get
what
out
the
there and hit the
fuck?
ball.
I've been saying for years. And then but if you go down other places where their teams don't have half the record of ours, and they're very patient and they understand, and they're like, well, we have to develop, and we're like, no, fuck them,
Is it, yeah,
put them out.
ninth inning, down by 28 points in a baseball game, and the stadiums down here are still packed. They're like,
Yeah,
no, I'm not going home. It's not over. We
yeah.
could come back.
Hope springs
We're
eternal.
very optimistic people down here. We get a lot of sunshine. It has that effect on us.
Oh, it's exactly the opposite up north. We have no sunshine and we're bitter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sunshine really does bring a lot of happiness into your life. You should definitely get your fair dose of sunshine along with those nice warm comfort foods.
Mm. See, that's why I eat. The food brings the sunshine.
Yeah, this is very good. Anyway, we're coming up on an hour, and I wanted to thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been I've had a great time, and
Yeah, me too.
and hopefully you guys learned something new about Chrisiousity and myself as well. But no, the whole point of for those of you who have been tuning into the show for the past 3 shows and are like, hold on a second, this is like you just turned the car 180. This is kind of the new direction I want to go. I want to talk to people like Chrisiousity. I want to pull them outside of their normal realm of discussion and give them a chance to really introduce something that they're passionate about and that they love and that they want to talk about that has nothing to do with what they normally talk about. And like I said, thank you very much. You can check out Chrisiosity's channel. There's a link in the description below. And if you are a budding or burgeoning YouTube celebrity and are on the internet area and would like to be on the Dolphin Radio Show, let me know on Twitter at Dolphin_radio or contact me here on YouTube. And thanks for tuning in, guys. Chrisiosity, it's been a great night. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right.